So I'm going to do this differently today. I'm just going to speak to you. And I'm hoping that the people that are supposed to be listening to me are going to continue to listen. If it goes a little longer because I'm rambling, hopefully you'll watch it. And if you need to leave and then come back. I'm also definitely focused, even though I'm speaking to everyone, I'm speaking to people that look like me. And so now I will begin. I belong here in communities, Black communities and Latino communities, so that's where my stories begin. So a story. A young Black man in his late 20s shared that when he was a sophomore in high school, his older brother who was driving and their three friends went to the north side of Chicago, a white neighborhood, to watch a high school basketball game. On the drive back, they were pulled over by two white police officers, and the reason for being pulled over was that there was too much movement in the car. My friend said there was no movement, 2 kids in the front, 3 kids in the back, talking and listening to the radio. The police officers asked them what they were doing there and where they were going. They asked if they had anything in the car that they shouldn't have, and the kids said no. My friend said that he didn't know his rights back then, and what he did know, and they all knew because their parents had drummed it into them, that if you're ever pulled up, you be respectful and you comply, and they did. It was a cold March night. They were told to get out of the car and to take off their coats, to be searched, and they searched the car and found nothing. My friend said the feelings that he had was fear, please don't let this escalate. It turned to anger and also relief. They were kids. They went to see a basketball game. I remember being a kid, and if I had that experience, it would have scared the living daylights out of me. The thing is, I will never experience that because I am not racially profiled. I know for a fact that if there were 8 white kids in that car, they would not have been pulled over. Just for living, the discrimination is alive and well. My story is very different. I got my license at 17. I was so excited. I remember my friends sitting around all looking like me and saying, hey girls, if you ever get pulled over, just cry. I don't know where we learned that, and I know it's true. Now me, I like to drive fast on an open road. I've had quite a few encounters with police officers. I've never gotten a ticket. I've got warnings, and I've never been asked to get out of the car. One incident in particular, I was in my 20s, and I knew I was going 90. I got pulled over by a police officer, and he says he clocked me at 90. And this is what I said to him. I said, are you sure? This car I bought for $50 is a junker. I didn't even know it could go that fast. So not only no fear, being playful. The officer looked at me, told me to slow down, and sent me on my way. My white male friends over the years have shared stories similar to mine, and I remember one in particular where he was saying he was actually weaving it in and out of the lane. And obviously drunk. And the police officer stopped him, and all he said to him is, slow down and get home safely. I share these stories because on one level I knew they were happening, and as I've said before, it boggles my mind that I didn't know to get involved. Another story, a young Black woman, 25, mid-20s. She's sharing that she had just recently gotten her license and how excited she was. And in the next moment, fear. And the fear was because she realized that the police had another point of contact to be in her space at their discretion to pull her over for any reason. That her rights did not ensure her safety, that she could do everything right, and it still could go terribly wrong. No guarantees. Again, as white people, we know this. We see the news, but now it's personal, And I hate to say that it took to get personal for me to open up my eyes, but that's what's happened, and that's why it's so important that I share my stories with you. I have to take a moment to thank everyone in this community who has shared with me. They have shared their hearts, they have shared their hurts, they have shared their fears with me. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for your willingness to teach me. And I'm so sorry that you have to go through these experiences. White privilege is alive and well. It's not a myth. If anyone says white privilege, please do not get defensive because it's just the truth. And we need to have these courageous conversations so that it can stop. I look at all the stories that my friends have shared and the everyday stress that Black people and people of color face would knock me out. I've had experiences in my life where I thought, how am I going to make it through the day? And this needs to stop. Another story, a Black man that I met actually when I first got here, around 37 years old, and he's sharing about his child is in first time going to kindergarten, so a dad going to school for the first time to go through an orientation. And there was only white people there besides him. And his thought was, how do I speak so I don't sound like an angry Black man? He's just a dad. And he had that in the back of his thoughts. He had that thought. I think of my friend who I shared earlier about the car, and he's saying the pressure of being a Black man, that there's no room to mess up. I think of my friend Joyce, who's I've spoken to about, and she's now in her 50s, sharing when she was a kid and if white people came by and they were outside, her mom would say, behave. They were already behaving, but they had to be twice as good. Just for living in this country, living their life because of the color of their skin. On Friday, a man called me up and he just called a Black man to just share that thank you and how he wanted to know how he could support me. And then we spoke for 45 minutes, and I had met him back in October for a restorative justice conference in Oak Park. And maybe we spoke 7 minutes at the time, and we exchanged information. And when I started getting my videos out, I just texted him and asked him to watch. And the story he shared just happened recently. He has a son in the 6th grade, and he went in for a parent-teacher conference, and there were a couple of white teachers there, and the teacher is saying, your child isn't paying attention. And he said, well, what does that mean? I said, is he being disruptive? No. Is he bothering others? No. Is he doing his classwork? Oh, yeah, he's an A student. So he allowed her to continue talking. And finally he said, what I think I'm hearing is that my son challenges you sometimes, that he just doesn't take it at face value. And she said, yes, he's being rude. Rude. And he just said to her, he said, you know, if a white boy acted that way, you would praise him. You would encourage him. And because my son's Black, you don't. And she just got silent. And the other teacher there said, that sounds racist. And he said, if you think that, maybe you need to look at it. Again, just living their lives. And it boggles my mind that how did that not penetrate to a level where I participated? And so I'm here now. I'm inviting all of you because we need all of us to participate, to make the changes that need to be changed. I haven't even discussed with you the laws and institutions and policies that are crushing entire families and communities now. I'm reading a book, The New Jim Crow, and I can barely get through a page a day. It's that devastating, what we're doing in this country. So I'm asking you to continue to stay informed as I stay informed. I put some links on the bottom. Please look at all the links that I put in my videos. This one is from the 1968 with Martin Luther King for the sanitation workers strike. It's very powerful. The men are wearing shirts that just say, I am a man. We have to return to our humanity. So much work has been done and we've barely moved the needle. So we're here today, I'm here today with you. We're going to move the needle. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for participating. Thank you for having these conversations. Until the next time, stay safe, stay healthy, sending out lots of love.